Yesterday I ran. Today I am a warrior. Chapter 7. Back Seat Driver. I had in the past moved from a small country town to the big city of Los Angeles. Traffic was so hectic and the sirens of fire trucks and ambulances was overwhelming. I had never experienced such a rat race in all my life. Now I had become another rat running in the maze of city life. I had managed to get a job by walking the streets of West Los Angeles and by doing a lot of praying. I had driven past a corner building covered with vines and void of any signs or writing to say what was inside. By divine inspiration, I felt to go back to this building. I parked about a block away and walked back. As I approached what I believed to be the front of the building, for it was hard to tell, I proceeded up the walkway. I had to duck under some overgrown trees in order to reach the door. As I stood up and looked around on the door in front of me, it said, Employment Office. I was amazed and shocked, thrilled to say the least, that my impression had not failed me, but had again steered me in the right direction. I was led right to the front door of a major corporation's employment office. Of course I went in, and little to say, I was hired almost on the spot. I was given a choice of jobs that were available at the time. I was ushered into a test, and gracefully I passed the test. I was then asked when I would like to start this job, and I said, as soon as possible, like today. Now, this was a Wednesday afternoon that all of this transpired. I was told to come back and take pictures for my ID badge and get more directions the next day. I would be starting work on Monday morning. The rushing began. I was not quite able to determine my travel time as of yet, so I started off on the wrong foot. I was late to work. It seemed like some great time bandit or late demon had attached itself to me. No matter what I tried, I seemed always to be rushing like a mad woman, or to quote my mom, flying like a bat out of hell. In a small city I had come from, I basically worked around the corner from my house. If I had to travel to a different office, 5 to 10 minutes was the maximum time required. There might have been a few cars traveling in the same direction most mornings, but nothing like the streets of LA. I felt, indeed, the city of lost angels. Most of the time I was lost. When I got off the freeway trying to take a shortcut around the traffic, my husband had been here a lot longer than myself, so he was quite content with staying on the freeway and creeping along. This, of course, made me extremely insane, to say the least. Surely there had to be a way around this ball of confusion. He, however, worked the night shift, graveyard duty, and did not have as much traffic during his commute. He had purchased me a used Toyota, and it was very cute. He had it painted bright orange like the fruit. I gather it reminded him of my bright personality and sunny disposition. At this time, though, I was feeling quite green as my stomach churned from the stress of the drive. I had been given a warning, do not be late again. My husband had decided he would drive my car for a while, and I had been driving his for several weeks. One morning he came in from work just as I was getting into the shower, preparing to leave. Normally he would greet me and we would exchange our words in passing. He was off to bed and I was off and running for the day. This particular morning he was already asleep, so I did not wake him. I decided to drive my own car. It was already warmed and ready to go. So I dashed out in a hurry as usual and jumped into my car. I was later leaving than normal, so I began to panic. As I raced down the street up to a very busy intersection, suddenly I heard a voice from my back seat say, "You don't have any brakes." The words were so loud that I felt someone was in the car with me. I turned to look, and no one was there. My heart began to pound and race, for I knew I had heard someone speak to me. My hands began to sweat from fear when I heard the voice say to me again, "You don't have any brakes." Sure enough, this time I tried to step on the brakes. As I approached the intersection, the brake pedal went all the way to the floor with no pressure at all. The car was still speeding as fast as before. I knew then that God had sent an angel to give me a warning. I began to pray and ask for help. I saw my hand, as if in a dream, grab the emergency brake, and I began to pump it up and down. Slowly the car stopped. I was so thankful to God that all the fear left. I sat there and wondered if my husband had encountered any trouble on his way home earlier that morning. My mind went back to the time on the clock. I had only enough time to make it to work, and not enough time to go back home and change cars. I prayed for help to get to work. I did not speed, but drove slowly. I pumped the emergency brake all the way there and arrived safely with a few minutes to spare. That day, I learned to slow down. Several hours later, I was approached by one of my coworkers who stated that my husband was outside and wanted to speak with me. Through the glass door, as I approached, I could see his red eyes, and a lot of fear was upon my husband's face. I opened the door, and he fell upon me and said, "I'm glad you're okay. I forgot to tell you something this morning." I said, "I already know." He said, "But I forgot to tell you something important about the car." Again, I looked at him and said, "I already know." He said, "What do you know?" I said, "The car did not have any brakes." With a look of amazement, he began to tell me of his ride home that morning. He said that as he was driving, he had a brief vision. He saw a car speed through a red traffic light. The driver could not stop his car. But then the car smashed right into a school bus and was destroyed. He said he began to pray when he came to himself, and he asked God to protect whoever that was in that car and in the vision he had seen. A few minutes later, a block or so from home, as he came to a red traffic light, his car would not stop. His car ran through the red light. When he looked to the side, he saw that a bus was coming straight towards him. He managed to turn the wheel fast and hard enough to land directly side by side with the school bus and not get hit, nor was anyone hurt. He says he had been so upset by the accident that when he had come home, he fell asleep and forgot to tell me that the car had no brakes. We both knew that God had saved us both that very same morning. I told him not to worry, that God had sent me a backseat driver. I managed to keep my job for another 25 years. Yesterday I ran. Today I am a warrior. Chapter 7, Backseat Driver. Music Beats by King. In My Mind, The Force by King. Backseat Driver.